Hello everyone, good morning and good evening. Welcome to the Business Cast, and in today's session, we will be discussing about driving procure-to-pay efficiency with blockchain. Hi, my name is Tarun and I am working as a product manager with DLT Labs. We see today's organization world operate in a quite complex environment where they have to maintain relationship with multiple vendors. In a typical supply chain industry, where a particular organization, let's say an automotive manufacturer, procures various parts and raw materials from different suppliers, assembles the ordered part, and then ships out the final product which gets sold in the market. Now, in this overall process, there are more than 2000 movable parts which are required for production of a car. And on an average, the manufacturer deals with roughly about 300 to 400 vendors to procure the required material. And in this process, when the goods or the raw materials which are received by the manufacturer, they need to make payments to the supplier. And this is the business case we are discussing today, procure to pay. Here we can see that there is one buyer organization which maintains relationship with multiple organizations, supplier organizations. The supplier organization further has tie-up with carrier organization, which deliver goods, let's say, to the parts assembly plant of the buyer. Now, once the goods have been received by the assembly plant, the supplier payment needs to happen. And typically in this overall supply chain process, since the information is broken between different business entities, there are a lot of challenges in making supplier payments. The complexity increases depending upon the mode of transport and the country of origin as well as the country of destination. Now one can imagine the scale and magnitude of the complexity involved for the manufacturer, as each supplier would have different internal processes, different levels of maturity, and different carrier partners which help in the final delivery of the goods. Within this process, there are tons of physical documents which are produced by each business entity. For example, the manufacturer would provide a purchase order and a list of material specification. The supplier confirms the order and shares an ASN. ASN is an advanced shipment notification. The supplier also generates an invoice and then hands over the goods to the carrier to load those goods and ship it to the destination location. Now, depending upon the delivery location, further document needs to be produced by the carrier, such as a delivery challan or bill of lading in case of an international transport, custom clearance document, and other such documents which the carrier may need to produce. Now, during this process, there are multiple problems and challenges. And to solve those challenges, DLT Labs offer our platform named as DL Asset Track. Now, typically in a process like this, where multiple entities are involved, each entity has their own set of internal application. Now in this diagram, we can see that there are around 10 applications which are already listed here. So the buyer or organization will have their own internal application in which the purchase order is created. The supplier may have their own internal application in which documents such as the invoice is getting generated. Carriers have their own internal application where they generate other transportation related documentation. And then finally, the assembling plant, where the good receipt needs to be made against the purchase order. They accept that the following goods have been received at their side and appropriate entry is made in another system. Now, when payment is done, typically the accounts payable and accounts receivable system is a separate system. And then eventually after all this has happened, when the car is actually manufactured, it is shipped out to the stores where the actual consumer comes and purchases the car. So there's so many applications which are involved in this cycle where the buyer is purchasing the goods and eventually manufacturing a final product and delivering it to the consumer. Now, one solution that DLT Labs offer is the platform named DL Asset Track. DL Asset Track is an enterprise blockchain platform which has proven capability to handle such scale, complexity, and it enables the businesses to configure the platform as per their business need. Now we can say that the information is not available when needed most, because there are different problems and challenges, like I said, which is faced by not just by the buyer, but even by supplier and carrier organization. So they have to maintain relationship and different ways of working with multiple business entities. So in the previous example, supplier A may have a different set of processes, carrier A may have different set of processes, and similarly the other supplier and carrier may have different set of processes. Payments and reconciliation, that is another pain problem which is faced by both supplier carrier organizations, because purchase order keeps on coming, the goods gets on delivering on time to time basis, and sometimes the invoices are fully paid, sometimes the invoices are partially paid, so it becomes very difficult to perform the payment and reconciliation. There is an operational overhead to maintain a trail of these physical documents, as someone has to maintain a file where all these trail of documents need to be maintained for auditing purpose. Cost to procure and maintain multiple applications is quite big. And then sharing relevant information with the right set of stakeholders. So let's say a sensitive information such as pricing should be shown only to the payables team and let's say one particular team of the supplier, whereas to the other participants or the other stakeholders of those organizations, certain set of information may not be shared. And to have an application which can achieve scale with growing business is an altogether different challenge. Now the solutions offered by DLT Labs is the platform provides configurations where the business processes or the business workflows can be configured as per the business need. It is a single platform. That means all these different entities, buyer, carrier, supplier, the parts assembly, the accounts payable, accounts receivable team, all these are onboarded onto a single platform. And that alleviates the need of reconciliation because all the documents are digitized. The entire trail of documents is present within the same platform. It's a transparent system where all these business entity can have access to the same set of information. The various types of document can also be digitized as per different needs of various suppliers or carriers. It's a permission blockchain platform where we can configure and share the relevant information with the right set of business entities. DLT Labs platform, DL Asset Track, is a proven platform which is already processing more than 1.3 billion worth of invoicing. And on that note, I would quickly like to show the platform. Okay. So now, as per the diagram we've shown, I would quickly like to show you one purchase order. On this particular list, we can see that there are multiple PO number which are generated. So basically the buyer has done their planning for the next 1 month of the materials or the raw materials that they need in making a car. Let's take an example of one of those purchase order which is issued to a supplier. Now this is the workflow which is configured for a domestic transportation. Now the goods are getting transferred between one province of Canada to another province of Canada. Now we can see that purchasing team has raised this purchase order and currently it is assigned to the admin team of the vendor to take further notice. Now what the material they have asked for is wheel rim, wheel cap and wheel cover. And this is the purchase order details that have been entered by the purchasing team of the buyer. Now let's log in as the admin team of the vendor. Now we can see that both of them have a similar set of information with respect to the purchase order. What the admin team of the vendor typically does is they provide information such as ASN, advanced shipment notification. So let's update the ASN here. So I would need to enter an ASN, let's say ASN 08, the shipment location. Let's say I need to enter. In the order details, the admin team of the vendor would provide what is the quantity of the goods which are available. So for all these three different part numbers, the order quantity was 60, and let's say the quantity 60 is available for them to be shipped. And then after this, they enter the ASN number as well as the shipment location where these goods are stored with the supplier. And then they send this information further to the next business entity, which is the accounts team of the vendor. The accounts team of the vendor takes a look at all the information which is available, what was the item ordered, what is the quantity available, and the ASN details, and they basically generate invoice. Now we are talking about a platform where documents are also digitally created and automatically created. So let's log in using the accounts team of the vendor and see various details that the account team of the vendor would have. So now we have logged in as the accounts team of the vendor. Now when the vendor logs in, they can see that the particular PO number which has an ASN number is already been pushed into their bucket to take further action on it. Let's get down into the details of this particular order. And we can now see that there is a different set of information which is available for the vendor accounts team, which includes the payment terms. Now these payment terms are automatically generated using smart contracts which are executed on the blockchain platform. If I can compare this with the previous set of information which is available for the admin team, that was different. So this highlights one particular feature of DL Asset Track is that based upon the business entities, different set of data points or different set of attributes can be displayed to different entities depending upon their roles and responsibility in the overall value chain. Now we can see that this in the timeline that currently this purchase order awaits approval on the invoice status. Now simply the admin team would come here and let's say approves this invoice for further processing and sends it to the delivery team of the carrier to pick up the goods from the shipment location and deliver the goods to the destination location. Now we have logged in as the delivery team of the carrier, and the participant of the delivery team can see that an invoice number having so and so number is being issued for them to take further action. Now when the delivery team gets into details of the shipment that needs to be made, they have a different set of information which is more appropriate for them to deliver the goods to the destination. For example, the delivery address, the invoice number, and now they have to provide the shipment details. So they have the shipment location from where the good needs to be picked up. They have the delivery address where the good needs to be delivered. They would plan their delivery and provide other information such as the shipped date, when the good is actually being sent, the driver name, the driver contact, and the vehicle number. Once all these details have been entered, basically the goods is now started from the origin location, that is the shipment location, and would be sent to the delivery location, which is in Toronto in Canada. Okay, now let us assume that the goods have been has reached to the assembly plant location where the delivery address was mentioned, and when someone from the assembling plant logs into the platform, they can see that these following items are out for delivery. Case in point is this particular purchase order, and then when they log in, they would see a different set of information such as what are the purchase order details, the invoice details, the ASN details, and they have to make data entry about the good receipt. Now, when the assembling plant needs to make a good receipt, they can do a three-way match. That means whatever the material which was ordered, the quantity of the material which was ordered, the quantity of the material which was shipped, and the quantity of the material that they have received in their assembling plant. Let's say they have received all the 60 quantity of wheel rim, wheel cap, and other items. And now they will provide some GRN number from their side. Whether the quantity is matched or not, they would say yes or no. The QC status. So typically wherever goods are received at a particular plant, they would pick out some sample and do a good receipt against the material that they have received. So let's say the QC status is passed. We can also do some automation in terms of fail, and a different business process gets triggered based on certain user action, and some QC certificate that the user needs to upload. So that is another point. And the actual delivery date when they have received the goods. Now what we can see is within the same purchase order, all those documents, be it the QC certificate that is manually filed and somebody wants to upload an image of it, or the other documents which were digitally created, such as the supplier invoice as well as the delivery challan which the delivery team of the carrier may have used, are available in a single place. So that challenge where we need where somebody needed to maintain the physical document trails gets eliminated with a platform like this, since all business entities are onboarded onto the common platform of DL Asset Track. Now let us send this instance further to the next business entity, which is the payables team of the buyer organization. Okay, so now we've logged in as the accounts payables team of the buyer organization. Now they can see that there are various pending invoices for which payment needs to be made. Let's continue with the example of the purchase order that we were looking at, where wheel rims, caps were ordered. Now the accounts payable team will have a single consistent view of information provided by all the business entities, be it by their purchasing team for the item and the quantity that was ordered, the invoice which got generated and submitted by the accounts team of the vendor or the supplier, the document which was submitted by the delivery team, and the good receipt that was made by the assembly plant. They can see all this information, and in addition, our platform automatically has generated the payment instructions, looking at which payment can be done seamlessly to the vendor. And that was about one set of problem statement. We can we'll be moving to another set of problems that are typically faced in a supply chain industry. On that note, we will talk about end-to-end auditability, which is currently not possible with the way conventional applications are available in the market. So today audit happens, but that happens within an organization. So all the process on all the activities which is done by the buyer organization would be audited by one auditor. The action and activities performed by the supplier, they would have their separate auditor, and all the actions and activities performed by the carrier would have their own independent auditor. So even in case the one organization wants to improve their overall process and increase their efficiency in the complete value chain, then the current architecture of the application doesn't permit for the auditor to perform such actions. Now, typically what we've seen multiple challenges which are faced even by the auditor, as the organizations operate in silos and they have disparate systems. The auditor faced challenges such as aggregation of information from various business entities, because those artifacts are sometimes stored in emails, sometimes those are physical documents stored in some files. Some could be quality check certification and various other internal application. Now, getting access to the internal application also becomes a Herculean task, because for that also the auditor needs to talk to a lot of people and then gain access to the system. And there are many roadblocks in collecting information from such a diverse group of business entities. In addition, there is an increasing demand from government institutions and regulatory bodies, where they seek cooperation from all partner organizations to equip them with better reports and proof of transactions. Organizations today spend a lot of time, money, and effort addressing the auditor's need as well. And in case a dispute arises at that point of time, the payment of that particular invoice also gets stuck until and unless that dispute is resolved. Now, for these various challenges, which eventually helps the organization to improve the efficiency of their overall value chain, the solution which is offered by DLT Labs is DL Asset Track. DL Asset Track provides a single source of truth as the updates are happening across the value chain. There are different business entities and participant of different business entities that we saw in the demo of the platform. And we can have a separate user, which is an auditor user, which can view the complete process. They can view the events, the activities which are performed by the participant, and then not just one particular instance or one particular invoice. They can see all the invoices for a particular process, and they can minimize and in certain cases even eliminate the disputes. The decision which is taken by looking at such a big data set is always a data-backed decision. Now, let us look at the auditor user and various information that is available for the auditor user. Okay, so now we've logged in as the auditor user, and the auditor user can see all the previous purchase orders that were raised. They can also see in case there was any dispute raised for a particular purchase order. It may happen that one business entity may have raised a dispute due to some issues. We can quickly take a look at this dispute case and how the timeline is different as compared to the previous timeline that we have looked at. The process remains the same. And what has happened in this particular processing of these purchase orders is, when the goods have been received by the assembly plant and further the data was sent for payables to make payment, when they reviewed the complete set of information, they found that the payments term was missing. In the good receipt, the QC status was not entered. The QC certificate was not provided, and the flag whether quantity matched or not matched was not found. And for such case, the payables have raised an dispute. We can talk about dispute in our next business cast. Apart from this, auditor user can also view all the activities and various comments which were entered during the processing of that particular invoice, right from the time the good receipt was made to various events and actions which were done by different set of users. That physical trail document is replaced by a digital trail of events and activities which has happened in the system, and various activities which is performed by the participants. Okay, so this brings an end to this business cast. Thank you for your valuable time, and stay tuned for our next business cast. Till then, stay safe, stay healthy, and have a very good day.